Alright, so let's start with this group over here. Give us 2 points of a good story. What's your first point?
You have a good climax.
A good climax.
The information must be correct.
Okay, so is it always truthful?
Accurate.
Accurate. So not necessarily truthful in terms of it doesn't have to be non-fiction. It can be fictional.
I mean, no
but
logical fallacies.
Sorry?
No plot holes. No plot holes.
Right. Right. Got it. So authentic. Can we say that? It's not quite right, is it?
We were thinking Interstellar in terms of how it's really
So it has to fit together.
It's well thought out, basically.
Yeah. So well thought out.
I could argue about Interstellar.
Yeah, I could too, but they were like 3 against 1.
So maybe we can say it's consistent. So it makes sense all the way through. Okay, I like it. Good.
Another day maybe.
Yeah.
So you guys over here, another point?
Variety and mystery.
Variety, nice. What do you mean by mystery?
Let's say
guessing.
how an author writes, he leaves on just little bits of teasers. So you want to know, but actually he might decide to dispel the mystery, just tell you everything about it, or just keep quiet, keep you asking questions, why it happens, keep you discuss with other people, like the Game of Thrones theory, right?
Yeah.
They have this if you remember the theory that Jon Snow, that Khaleesi brother and sister, right, something like that. It's basically a theory. People don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
So could we say that that's suspense?
Suspense.
So suspense is a really common tool for good stories. And there's a funny example of this that some people use, which is, has anyone seen the movie Jaws? The shark.
Yeah.
So the story goes that apparently when Steven Spielberg was commissioned or was given the funding to make Jaws, they found enough money to actually make a life-size model of this crazy, scary great white shark, 4 meters long, 12 meters long, whatever it was. So they made this model and they spent all this money doing all this filming of people screaming and being bitten and being eaten and the shark thrashing around in the water. And they started to watch it as they were making it and they went, it's not scary. It's just not scary. It's not interesting. It's like lots of people screaming. Great, it's like a horror film. So what? And arguably, one of the best scenes in the movie, I don't know if you remember this one, is rather than seeing the scary shark swimming around, going crazy, one of the best scenes in the movie is where you have the main character, Richard Dreyfuss, and he's standing on a little boat on a beautifully calm sea. And you can see all to the horizon in all the directions, and it's just beautifully soft, calm sea, nothing. And the sun is shining, and he's standing there and it's total silence. And it's just peaceful, you can just imagine the birds singing. It's great. Can we turn this off?
Again.
Okay.
Press again.
Thank you. So he's just standing there and he's looking around, and what are you feeling? You're feeling like something's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know even if it will happen, but something is going to happen. And in that movie, we feel that something is going to happen the whole time. And the most powerful parts of the movie is when actually nothing is happening. But there's this feeling in the background that something will. And then the music starts. And you know that something is going to happen, and you're like, where? When? And you're on the edge of your seat going, now? It's still like look away now? Okay, I'm a real wuss when it comes to horror movies, so I'm like this all the time going, when's it going to be horrible? And that's suspense, right? And then what actually happens? Eventually, whoosh, shark comes out of the water for 3 seconds, it goes away again. You know, all the money they spent on that great shark was for those 3 seconds. And actually that was far more successful than all of the footage that they shot of all of the shark eating everybody, rah, 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 rah. And in that moment, that's when the suspense kind of hits its head, right? And anyone remember what he says? Quite a famous quote, at least in the UK, quoted quite a lot. No, he goes, we're going to need a bigger boat. Anyway, the point is, movies like that really, really capitalise on suspense. Now, obviously, we've got lots more points to make, but all of these points, as we make them, you may think, this is stories, this is movies, this is Jaws. Every one of these points can apply to telling the stories of science. So, a good science story needs a climax. You know, we may be talking about the story of enzymes in our gut. There needs to be a climax. There needs to be a moment where the enzyme manages to do its job and get the protein broken down. Hey, climax. It needs to be consistent. There needs to be no plot holes. There needs to be variety. We need to talk about maybe other enzymes. We need to talk about something else about, and there'll be more points that will fit in with this. The suspense is it going to manage to do it or not? Can it get its job done? That's a stupid example, right? But the point is, with any story, it doesn't matter what the content is. Science stories can have these elements too. Right, so what other elements are there? Suspense is a big one, important one. This is the idea that something is going to happen, but we don't know when, and we don't know what, and we don't know why. What? Oh, sorry, yes. You guys, over here.
Yeah, I just want to build up to the climax. We also mentioned that there must be a gradual build-up, in terms of momentum, and then it follows, sort of precedes the climax.
Okay, so a gradual build-up of emotion.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm not sure whether this is going to be mentioned, but among the others, we also think that eye candy and visual effects play a big role.
Now, if you're telling a story,
Visual hooks.
right?
Yeah.
Great. If you're telling a story that's for listeners rather than for viewers, does this apply?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How?
How you sound, the person listening is going to imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Supportive element, props, visual.
Right. And if we can't physically create the scene, what can we do?
We describe this.
Yes.
Right. We paint the picture.
Mm-hmm.
We paint the images in people's heads. Really important. So visual effects or images, they don't have to be real, as in they don't have to be tangible. They can be something we explain and we describe. And in fact, storytelling as presenters relies massively on creating visual images. If you can paint a picture in someone's mind, it will stay with them far longer than 10 minutes of speaking. Yeah.
Do you think describing something is better, or do you think props is better?
It depends. If the prop is really specific and you can use it to illustrate a point, great, fab, it's there. But not to also take away from the fact that describing images, letting other people come up with visualizations in their mind is also really powerful. And in something like radio, you have to rely on visual images, creating images in people's heads. But yeah, props can be helpful too. Okay, great. What else? Back to you guys. Did you do two? Great.
Humor,
Humour. Yes, lovely. And again, keep thinking how this can apply to science. Our story about enzymes, visual effects. We can describe what the enzyme looks like. We can describe its environment in the gut. We can describe in detail the structure of the villi inside the intestine and how it curves and waves. If you paint that picture, people will see it. Yeah, humour. The obvious one. Yeah, what else?
good script.
Script.
Good script, yeah.
A good script. So let's say a good, what should we call it? A good narrative.
Yeah.
That means basically the story itself. A good story. Great. And very important for science content is to have a good story. One that actually, we saw some examples this morning where someone's telling a story. You can tell that in science for sure. Yeah, you guys.
Plot twist.
Twist, plot twists. So surprise. Gosh, I didn't expect it to go there. That kind of feeling. What else? One more from you guys? Do you have any others?
Unpredictability.
Yeah, twist, surprise. Unpredictability, great.
I think we had one to add upon humor as well.
Yeah?
Sarcasm.
Sarcasm, yeah, great. Humour or sarcasm. It's a form of humour. Yeah, for sure. You guys, any more points over here?
Provocative.
Provocative. So, yeah, thought-provoking, like it.
Thought-provoking.
Provocative. Makes you think about things in a different way. Makes you challenge. It's a really good one actually for science particularly. It makes you challenge what you thought to be true, or what you thought that you believed, or what you thought you felt. Yeah. Any others? Over here?
Yeah, so it's relatable. Both.
Relatable.
Yeah.
Nice. So we can relate to it. So it has to be something that we can empathise with.
Yeah.
Something that relates to us and our everyday lives. There is no point telling a really intricate, exciting story about something that we have no ability to connect with. We have to be able to relate it to ourselves. Super important for science stories. So many people try and tell us stories about science, but they don't make it relevant to our lives. They don't make it relevant to our own experience or to why we should care. So relatable, empathy, relevance, really important for science stories. Anything else? We've missed out some key elements of a good story here. There's some great stuff about plot and content. What else do you need to tell a good story?
Beginning and an end.
A beginning and an ending. So we've got a climax, great. So we've got a good start. What makes something a good start? We used the word earlier today. A hook. A hook or a good start. Really important. A good ending. We said climax, that doesn't necessarily mean ending, so let's put it down here. An ending, it has to have an ending. What do the best stories have at the ending? What kind of ending? Sorry?
Happily ever after.
Could be happily ever after. Could be a happy ending. Could be a sad ending. The point is that something has to change. You know, when we get to the end, something has to have changed. Either for the better, sometimes for the worse, sometimes a surprise. But there has to be kind of like a progression. So we get to the end and maybe there's a transformation. Maybe there's an epiphany.
That nothing changes.
Sorry?
Epiphany that nothing changes.
In what?
No, I was just saying that because you said that there must be a change.
Yeah.
But sometimes the realization that nothing changes.
Exactly.
Is extremely depressing.
The change is that nothing changes.
Yeah.
Right. I got it.
Lost in translation.
I got it. So an ending, or let's say an ending, or a transformation. So, but at the end, we have to have moved forward, or not.
Yeah.
But it has to be clear which one it is.
How about leaving a question behind?
Yeah. Ending, transformation, a question. That's also could be a good way to begin or a good way to end. Is to have a question. Okay, we've covered a lot of stuff here, but we've still got some fundamentals to good stories that we haven't got here.
Can I just add in?
Yeah.
I'm the only woman in this group, so I said that I am, I do involve emotions.
Yes, for sure. For sure. A good story is not a good story if we don't care. Super important. Thank you. Yes, emotions.
Good acting.
Emotional engagement. Essential. I challenge you to tell me any story, guys, girls alike, that doesn't engage you emotionally that you find interesting. If you don't, and it doesn't have to be, makes me cry. Emotional engagement can be on any level. It can make you angry, it can make you passionate, but it's got to make you feel something. It has to, for sure. Yes, brilliant point, thank you. Elements of a story, come on, this is all plot.
Good editing.
Good editing. What does a story have to have other than plot?
The actors, I think.
What do we call those?
The storyteller?
The story.
The storyteller?
No, we just said the actors and the actresses. And
So what do we call those in the story? The actors.
Characters.
The characters!
All right.
Thank you. What kind of characters do we need in a story? What kind? What kind of characters do we need?
Like villains, heroes.
Villain!
Heroes.
Oh, that was enough. We need a villain. What else do we need?
Heroes.
A hero.
Heroine.
Totally applies to science. I may be telling you a story about enzymes, but I have to have a hero in my story. I have to have the enzyme that you're all rooting for. Maybe it's amylase, the enzyme in the mouth. That's the one that everyone wants to succeed. Maybe you have a villain, something that's stopping the enzyme getting its way, an inhibitor, or some acid, or something that stops it from getting what it wants. But you need a hero, a particular hero that we have an emotional engagement with, a hero that we have a relationship with. Where has it gone? Something that we have empathy. Where's it gone? Relatable, empathy, relevance. A hero that we feel related to, for sure. We have to have a villain, ideally, that we don't feel related to, that we are against. In terms of the hero, what does the hero have to What does a hero need? Megan?
Brave. Strong.
Strong and brave, yeah? It helps if they have superpowers. The hero has to need something. Doesn't really matter what. But there's no point saying, here's an enzyme. It needs to digest starch. There it is, done. Great.
Characteristic.
That's a purpose, I suppose.
It has to have a purpose. It has to have something it needs to do. And the point is, the crucial point is, can it do it?
Yeah, ability.
But can it do it immediately?
Well, normally a hero would have some resistance and...
Thank you. We need a hero who needs to get something done, achieve something, either emotionally or physically or absolutely or just hypothetically. It needs to need or want something, and there has to be resistance.
Yeah.